Hello and good Sunday evening, everyone. We're doing this a little different today. So we've recorded this earlier in the afternoon, and it will be posting tonight at our regular live time. We were afraid that with our schedules that we would be late coming to you again tonight, and we have already missed last week, and we have some really fun things that we wanted to catch you up on, exciting things, and so we decided to go ahead and record and post at our normal live time. But please keep interacting with us in the comments. We will be interacting tonight in the comments with you as this post. And so if you have any questions, things that you want to ask us, questions about all the different stories and things that we're going to tell you, then we want to hear from you. Also, if you would be sure to share this video so that we can help spread the word about through the Eyes of Our Tribe and all the things that we're doing and what we have coming up. We would love it.
Yes, so the last time we came to you live, we were in New Orleans. We had just finished up helping at a church's fellowship, and
did we go live that night?
We went live in the truck as we were leaving the church.
Oh, that's right, and it was the bumpy roads.
Yes,
I do remember that.
So we were a little bit brief there. The week before that, the girls went live from our friend's house in Arkansas. And so we just wanted to kind of recap a little bit, really kind of the last month of what we've been doing, where we've been. And so,
what's ahead.
Yeah, so kind of rewinding back, we were able to be a part of the church service at Second Baptist Jacksonville, where our friends David and Heather serve along with their family. And that church is one of our supporting churches. It was great to be with them, to be able to share in their service. And then we were also able to go to their midweek luncheon that they have for their senior adults. And Caroline told me that those are my people. So we were glad to be able to share with them at their luncheon and share with them in a little bit more detail what we had been doing and more about our ministry. And so that was a great time to be able to interact with them.
I think the girls briefly told you that night that one of the things that David shared that morning as he brought Kevin up was he read a passage out of Acts and kind of shared, he likened our current season of life. He kind of used Paul's missionary journeys and how Paul continued to go back to the churches. And it was just a really neat time for our family as well. As we left that service, we discussed just how God had used David to encourage us that day with his message and with his analogy. And so we loved being there. It was super fun because we were able to actually back the RV into their driveway. And so we backed all the way in their driveway, hooked up there in their yard, and it was a fun week of time together. And then we went on to New Orleans at the end of that week, and a couple of days later they joined us.
Yeah, so they were able to be with us last Sunday when we all went and enjoyed church.
That was 2 weeks ago today.
2 weeks ago, I'm sorry. We were at Lakeshore Church, and we were able to be there and hang out with them for the church service, but then went back and worked at the fellowship that they had, and we helped cook. We helped clean up. We did all the good stuff. We ended up helping cook 300 pounds of crawfish. So that was...
it was insane.
Quite an adventure. Yes. And then we cleaned up, and as we were cleaning up, we had the trough that I had been scooping crawfish out of.
Live crawfish.
I had been scooping those out into pots to boil, and we were cleaning that trough up and just jokingly said to one of the guys, hey, so is this the baptistry too? Thinking I was joking. And he's like, yes, it is. And so come to find out that is how they did their baptisms there, because that church happened to meet in a Methodist church. And
so for those of you counting, I think we told you this last week, but you can add Methodist church to the list of places or the list of buildings that the Kilgores have been to church in. So
that's right.
That was very interesting. What we had not gotten to yet, when we came to you live real quick, we told you about the church service, but what we were able to do on Monday with our two families ended up being a really, really, really fun, cool day of being able to serve together.
Yeah, it was a great ministry experience for our two families. There is a church that is in the lower 9th Ward, which, if you know the New Orleans area, that is one of the poorer areas. It's also an area that was hit heavily by Katrina, also by Hurricane...
Was it Ida?
Ida, one of the I's, a couple years ago. And so they have had a really hard time building back. And this particular church was shut down for COVID, and during that time, their pastor retired, and the members of that congregation have just recently asked another gentleman to take over that spot as pastor of their church. And so we were able to work with, if you saw one of our other videos, his name, he goes by Rev.
It's sweet man.
Very, very nice man, and his name is Reverend William Calhoun, and it was a blessing to work with him.
Oh, that fly just attacked me.
We were working with a church planter who is getting ready to plant in that area, and he had built a relationship with Rev, and so Rev needed some help, so we were able to go and help out. But the church planter, you can be praying for him as well. His name is Shane Booker, and he is going to be planting soon, and we look forward to a continued relationship, being able to help him out with some of the projects that he has coming up as well.
Down the road, yes. Basically, this little building just needed some TLC. It had just been sitting dormant, and so it was neat. We were able to paint the inside, pressure wash the outside, and then work on rebuilding a staircase on the back side of the building that had rotted out. So really cool. Of course, in New Orleans, we also were able to, with the Odells, while we got to do all of that stuff, we also grabbed some really yummy food and seafood in between our ministry stops. And then one of the other neat opportunities we had there, Kevin went to seminary in Louisville, Kentucky, and so Kevin had been on several occasions to New Orleans Baptist Seminary, and I had never gotten to go on campus, and so it was really cool to go and see that. One of the things they've done there on campus is they had a little area that they have created regional offices for the North American Mission Board. This fly,
there is one fly in this
and
RV,
it keeps
and
attacking us.
It wants to be with us.
So these regional offices that they've created for the North American Mission Board there, we got to visit with and connect with some of the people there. There's a regional director, there's a journeyman, there's a ministry center. The
ministry center coordinator, and also the Send Network pipeline coordinator. So lots of great contacts there, some good meetings, just getting to meet those folks and hear about what they do, and
share with them about what we've been doing as well.
Let them know what we've been doing. And it was interesting because the pastor of the church is also the regional director, and
the pastor of the church with the crawfish boil.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the regional director, and he was just extremely grateful for what we were able to do. As this fly is on my nose.
I just landed on my. This is almost comical. We can't even edit this much out. I'm gonna go get a fly swatter in a minute, and I'll just swat you.
Sorry. So anyway, but just how grateful he was. He shared with us when we met with him later, just how grateful he was for that time, because us taking care of some of the behind the scenes stuff allowed him to really do some of the relational things that he hadn't had a chance to do with some of those folks. And
which,
so,
you know, we understand that too, and I think that spoke volumes to us to be able to encourage a pastor that way. You know, we understand the pull at events, especially of being able to the pull between executing the event and being present with people, with your people there. And so it was just a neat day.
Yeah. So we
also dodged are you gonna say something else about?
No, you can go ahead.
We also dodged a tornado by a few miles while we were in New Orleans. We that was maybe the closest. There's been one other time Kevin and the girls, I wasn't with them, but this was probably the closest we've come to evacuating the RV. Weather doesn't bother Kevin and I. We're not weather people, but we feel like we have to watch it a little closer when we live in an RV than we did in our house. And so it was an interesting evening. We eventually Kevin found a local news station that was giving some real specific places and streets and neighborhoods and locations of where they were seeing the tornado touchdown. And so we were able to kind of decipher that it was enough, several miles away from us, and that we should be good. So it was an interesting evening, though. Yeah,
so that was Tuesday evening, and Wednesday we had plans to, I had a meeting at the seminary, and shortly after I got to the seminary, or maybe right about the time I was getting to the seminary, there was actually a shooting out on the main road in front of the seminary. No one was in danger. It was a very targeted thing from what it sounded like in the news. But that was interesting. And then while we were in that meeting, we got a call from the pastor, and the project that we had helped him begin, he had a carpenter that was supposed to be there to help finish it up, and he had not shown up Tuesday, was not going to be coming Wednesday, and so he asked if we could come back and help out, and that was a really cool experience. I went back. The work that the carpenter had done previously was not going to work. It was not up to par or anywhere close to that, and so we had to kind of start over. But I shared with the pastor that I wanted him to be a good steward of the resources, the lumber that he had, and I knew that the bad work the carpenter had done before had kind of, wasted some of the lumber, and so I wanted him to be clear that I had no experience with what we were about to try to accomplish, and it was really neat. He said, I want to be a good steward of the resources that God has given me as well, and today God has given me you, and so I want to be a good steward of that resource, and so I think God has sent you here for this purpose, and we're going to get it done. And so
And you did.
the few of us that were there, we went ahead and moved forward, and we got it done, and the stairs are on the back of the church, so that is a good thing. And so it was good to have that additional time with the church planner Shane, as well as the pastor Rev, who was there, and the three of us worked, and then David came, and we all got it done. So
yeah, it was a good week.
Yeah.
And then Thursday morning, we hit the ground running. We had a lot of ground to cover on Thursday, so we needed to be in Central Florida by Saturday. We had a few days of vacation planned with some of our friends from home, and so we needed to be there by Saturday. And in the meantime, we got an opportunity to reconnect with a sweet couple that are good friends of Kevin's parents that were in the Central Florida area. And so we covered a lot of ground on Thursday. We stopped in Dothan and had dinner with my sister and nieces because it was my niece's birthday. And then we drove some more and had a very eventful night getting into the Cracker Barrel parking lot that we thought was going to be super easy.
At midnight.
So we covered a lot of ground on Thursday. We were on I-10 a long ways, but then got to Central Florida on Friday. We were able to spend the night. And there was this church parking lot, and the people were very gracious to let us stay there for the evening. And we had dinner with Jane and Jim. And then we checked in on Saturday. We picked up a big, huge grocery haul and checked in on Saturday morning at a fun resort in Central Florida, where our friends from home joined us, and we had a great 4 days.
Yeah.
4 nights.
Thank you to Heritage Baptist Church in Lakeland, Florida, for being so hospitable and allowing us to spend the night in your parking lot.
To spend the night in your parking lot that is actually in the direct flight path
of another
of the Lakeland airport. It was very interesting to see the shadow of a plane zoom right over the RV.
It's amazing how many RV parks are in the direct path of an airport, because many of the places we've stayed, we've experienced
that flag just landed on me
that
again.
very same thing. So
anyway, we spent a few days at the beginning of this week in Florida with our friends. Sweet, sweet time of fellowship and just hanging out. It was good and relaxing, and then we landed in South Georgia on Wednesday afternoon and have been running ever since.
Yes.
Which is what we typically do when we're home, but we enjoy it. Yep. So we will be in South Georgia.
Yeah, this morning we were able to be at Northside.
Yes, we were.
For church, and so it's always good to be back at Northside and see folks and be there to be a part of the worship service, and it was great again to be there this morning.
Yep, so we'll be in South Georgia for a couple more days as we just tie up some loose ends, and then we will start midweek. We will start our trek north. So we will, this time next week, we will come to you next Sunday from just outside of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And so April and May are all mapped out. Maybe we need to do a video probably at some point on one of our lives. Maybe we'll talk in a little more detailed a little more detail about how we kind of map out our routes. I know that's of interest to some people, but maybe not. You can tell us in the comments. But we kind of have our route planned out April and May, and so we will start in Washington, D.C. next Sunday, and we'll be hitting the Sin City just about every Sunday, I think, for those 2 months as we make our way back up the East Coast and then back around. So
if you're watching this and you're one of the planters that is in the Northeast that we met previously, we're going to be contacting you. We'd love to get back together.
We're coming for you.
And hang out again.
Yes. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to answering all your questions, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yep.
Have a great week.
Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us.